And you're welcome back. Residents of Santrokofi, Lolobi, and also the Akpafu communities are kicking against government's intention to mine mineral deposits in these areas. The areas are endowed with iron ore deposits, but residents say any attempt by the state to start mining in the area will greatly affect their social and economic lives. They have formed an anti-iron ore mining committee to have a united front to kick against any mining activity in the area. Peter Seno has more in this report.
4 communities from Santrokofi, Akpafu, Lolobi and Bowri have declared their intention not to allow government or any entity to mine iron ore deposits in these areas. Their concerns are born from what is currently happening in mining communities in Ghana, where water bodies are heavily polluted with other social and economic negative impacts of mining. For the residents, it is a no to mining from all fronts. The 4 communities have therefore formed an anti-iron ore mining committee to have a common voice to protect their communities and heritage. Emma Amuzu is one of the concerned women. As peasants, she says their livelihood, which is farming, would be jeopardized greatly.
We've seen what is happening in Ghana, especially Ashanti and other areas, the way the mining is destroying a lot of things. So here, the only job our parents do is farming. And then we have these beautiful mountains up here. If we allow them to come and mine here, then they will destroy our land, they will destroy our farming areas. We wouldn't have anything, any place to farm again. This is the main reason why we said no, we don't want, because we want the beautiful forest and the mountain to remain there as it was before our forefathers left. And so we are here, especially me, on behalf of the women, saying that no.
Samuel Tete is a metallurgical engineer and has 20 years mining industry experience and hails from the area. He provided some industry experience but wants government to engage communities so as to win their trust before providing any permits or licenses on mining in these areas.
As a technical person, a lot of stakeholder engagement is needed, where the communities will have to be told the bare truth. Looking at it in context, the benefit to the community in terms of social infrastructure, maybe they will build schools, build roads, build hospitals, but the effect is that the community will be hungry, their agriculture will be adversely affected, and the source of rainfall, drinking water, their sources of water all originate from these mountains. As soon as you disturb the land area, you expose the minerals to rain. So even if you tell the community you drill boreholes, have you looked at the effect of the pollution of surface mining into the underground water? Aside that, what will be the effect of dust, fugitive dust? If you breathe it in, what is the health effect of airborne diseases on the community? This is where I am coming from.
But why are residents in these areas not interested in developing their communities through mining? Here is Emma again.
What development are we seeing? We are not seeing any development. And for that matter, we cannot stand here today and say, yes, mining brings development. What development is it bringing in the Ashanti region, Western region, etc., etc.? We cannot allow anybody to come and destroy our forests and then our farms. If there is a development, we would have been seeing it already. Charity begins at home. And for that matter, we can't stand here now and believe any government that, yes, they will come and then mine here and then bring development. What sort of development, for heaven's sake?
Nana Olato is the Chidomhini for Santrokofi traditional area. For him, the destruction of their source of water through the mining activities is his concern. Peter Senu for Joy News.
Okay, let's hear from Samuel Tete, who's a metallurgical engineer, joining us now. Thank you, sir, for your time. Has government officially communicated to you what they intend to do with iron ore in the area? Because we know that the lands minister, for instance, announced that there won't be any decision by government to ship off iron ore from our soils. So what official position are you getting on this?
As a mining professional, I was given my thoughts on the effects of iron mining on the Santrokofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, Bowri area. We've read in the news that the Geological Survey Department has given out all blocks for certain companies to do exploration to define the resource into reserves that will be mined. Best practice will have made it such that government agencies like the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, that is the policy implementing agency for iron ore and the steel industry in Ghana, will have started engaging with the communities in the enclave. But over the past 2 years, when the news came up, they only keep hearing the news that some companies have started bringing containers ostensibly to set up exploration camps in their community. And you will admit with me that it is only the OT region and the Volta region where mining of any sort, whether legal or illegal, is taking place. And we all know the effects of mining on the environment. As a professional, I know the economic benefits mining will bring to our country: taxes, direct employment, royalties, and the fact that iron and steel has become one of the movers of industrialization. There is no building that can be put up without the input of a steel rod, which will come from the iron that will be mined. But as a professional, I am looking at it from the fact that aside the benefits that will go to the investors, to the government, in terms of taxes and royalties, and to the other stakeholders, what is it that the community will be affected with?
Are you suggesting that, there's some form of iron ore mining taking place already in the area?
You know, before mining starts, exploration must be done. There could be geological data telling you that a certain type of a mineral can be found somewhere. But you know, the value chain of mining starts from exploration. And it is not in a forest area away from human settlement. The communities live attached to the mountains. Interestingly, if you go to the Akpafu community, there are communities on top of the hills. So ideally, at the start of exploration, which has in effect started because the community members have started seeing drones around, ostensibly doing reconnaissance exploration, that is airborne exploration. By now, they should start engaging with them, because if they don't have the government agencies, the technical persons know-how, they begin to feed on hearsay. For my case, I'm a mining professional. I've shared my thoughts with them. But what is the government doing to allay their fears? Because the community along the enclave is a purely agrarian community. They are mostly into farming. And it is the mountains that border them that is full of trees, that form clouds for rains to come and feed their rice farms, their other staples like cocoa farming that they engage in. So their fears lie along that line, so that they will not be there for anybody to come and tell them that, no, from tomorrow we are resettling you. They know next to nothing about that.
Okay, so as a community, and I saw you in the video there indicating that you all want a common position on what's going on. What common position are you arriving at this point?
The common position, I think, that must be undertaken is that the ministry that develops policy, that is the Ministry of Lands, Forestry and Mines, plus its policy implementation arm, that is the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, as a matter of agency, begin to engage with the communities in the Oti region where certain information about iron ore deposits exist. Because they must begin to know how, one, they will benefit if the mining will take place. Two, what effect will it have on them? Because for now, they're reading in the news about what even legal mining, the effect on communities in the mining areas of Ghana is doing to them. So, and they are so much attached to their farming. They need to know what effect will it begin to have on their farming, their sources of drinking water, their farmlands for agriculture, in the event that they will be relocated. All those things must begin to happen in advance, because ultimately, no matter the licenses any investor has, whether reconnaissance, how do you call it, exploration, the mining leases, the citizens of the lands hold the final ultimate social license that will permit them to either go into, to allow outsiders to come and mine on their lands. That is where they are coming from.
Okay, and you are an expert as well, so you're able to tell us about the possible dangers to the community if we go about doing this on a large scale. What are the potential dangers of going ahead to do this iron ore exploration or mining on a large scale within this community?
If you perchance visit Hawkway driving through Santrokofi to Jahasikan, we have a tall mountain range there where most of the rainfall that comes along from Jahasikan area to Bowri to Santrokofi to Akpafu to Hawkway, across the mountains to the Lolobi liquid traditional area. This is a mountain range that serves as the rainfall source for these communities. So one of their fears is that if you tell them there is huge iron ore deposits in these mountains, it is obvious that as soon as the mountain is touched, their source of rainfall is touched. So their first source of concern is their livelihood. They are mainly peasant farmers in these communities. And looking at the ages of these men and women, even if the mining is done, I don't think any of them will have access to working because they are above 50 and they are mostly doing the farming. So their main concern is the farming. Aside that, if open pit or surface mining is done, obviously, blasting will affect their buildings because by the mining laws of Ghana, averagely you live just 100 meters away from a pit. And if blasting is done, obviously, their buildings will develop cracks. Aside that, the presence of dust, the dust will blow the winds towards all the communities. And it will affect their crop yields, because if the dust should settle on the leaves of the farm products, obviously, the concept of photosynthesis, which is the basis of crop production or crop yields, will be adversely affected. So this is how they will be affected unless measures are put in place to resettle them. And resettlement, who pays for it? Is it the government? Is it the mining companies? You see, they begin to develop fears. So if the stakeholders, the Ministry of Lands, Forestry and Mines, the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation doesn't come in, and even EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Water Resources Commission, they must be proactive, because where truthful and relevant information doesn't exist. People feed on all kinds of rumors. So aside the information I shared with them, they knew next to nothing about the benefits to the country and the negative effects it will have on them. We must have a complete conversation in context of the environment in addition to what Ghana stands to gain.
Okay, we need to wrap up. If there's an appeal to the authorities on this matter, what would that be?
I feel that proactive steps must be taken because it's marks of, for a better word, disrespect for a community to be there and you see containers being offloaded. When you ask them, they tell you they are coming to start exploration. At least some community engagements must be done through the stakeholders, the chiefs, the churches, and the ministry, the agencies like the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, the EPA, must begin to engage with the communities because a mining company cannot spend millions of hard-earned US dollars, finish exploration, define an ore body ready to mine. Then the community will rise up and say, we will not agree for you to mine. Investors will not be very happy with that. So the earlier engagements are done. Stakeholders, the communities, the chiefs, everybody buys in, whether to allow or not to allow. I think the better it will be because I feel for the government setting up a separate government agency aside the Minerals Commission, because Minerals Commission controls the policy implementation for all mining activities in Ghana. So to separate it and form the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, I feel the same agency must be attached in starting off well, so that the benefits Ghana and communities in gold mining areas didn't derive from gold mining. I don't think it should be repeated when we begin a new resource exploitation in terms of what the iron ore which is on the lands in our community. So engagement is necessary. The communities must buy in, whether to agree or not to agree. I think that way it will help us so much.
Grateful, Samotete, for spending some time with us here on the Pulse.